An increasing number of us are turning to YouTube to get our podcasts fixed these days. That's according to data from Edison Research. Perhaps you know this already. 31% of weekly podcast listeners ages 13 and up claim the platform is the service they choose most. Spotify, as you see there, holds 27% of the audience, and Apple has just 15%. According to Nielsen data, YouTube ranked #1 for all viewership on connected and traditional televisions back in May with 9.7%. That's more than Netflix, which had 7.6%. The viewing power of YouTube was not lost on the presidential campaigns this year, with both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris appearing on podcasts that were shown on the platform. So what is this all about? Joining us now for more is tech and business reporter for The Wrap, Sean Burch. And Sean, the big question is, what's driving people to podcasts and YouTube in particular in such large numbers?
Sure. Well, first off, thank you for having me. Second of all, it's a pretty simple answer, actually. People want to have video with their podcasts. And we actually know this because Spotify's internal research, which they shared last week, showed that 2/3 of their listeners prefer to have podcasts with video. And now we're actually seeing Spotify invest more in video. They rolled out a program last week to incentivize its creators to actually start making more video for the platform. So they're clearly seeing that YouTube is pulling listeners away when it comes to podcasts, and they want to keep those listeners in-house if they can.
And help us understand how YouTube itself is making it easier for people and influencers and experts in all sorts of different areas to turn their videos into podcasts, because they've made it very simple in recent months and years.
They have. And of course, it's a Google-owned platform, so they know quite a bit about all of us, and they know what to recommend usually that's going to be up our alley and what we want to watch. And over at The Wrap, we reported on, leading up to Election Day, we saw YouTube was really a go-to spot for people to get their podcasts when it came to politics. I talked to people on both the left and right side of the aisle when it comes to, for instance, Megyn Kelly. She's more right-leaning. I talked to a progressive YouTuber, David Pakman. He's more left-leaning. Both of them were racking up more than 100 million views per month leading up to the election. They, of course, still put their podcasts out on the traditional podcast apps, but they have clearly seen that video is a way to pull in more listeners.
Incredible. And we know that the growth, at the moment anyway, will only seem to continue. Sean Burch, thanks for joining us from LA this morning.